Hey everybody, welcome to Shit I Love with Jason Stewart and my guest, Alexandra Paul today, who is basically my sister, my best friend, my executor of my will.
I
Everything
am.
recently. We've known each other since we were in our late 20s, or I was in my late 20s, you in your early 20s. And I got to say, before she even starts to talk, she changed the paradigm in the way I thought because, and I've said this to her before, so I'm not saying anything out of school, that this beautiful Goyish princess movie star wanted to be my friend, and I was this, sort of schleppy Jewish actor comedian boy who's not even gay, not even out yet. So awkward and trying to figure out who I was with my crazy hair and my crazy clothes. And we met when Alexandra was the creator of a co-creator of a group called Young Artists United of people in show business who wanted to become more politically active and learn and help the community. And in that way, that's what our friendship has basically been about for the last 30 something years.
Well, because you've helped me. And hopefully I've helped you because we're part of each other's community now.
I got an email, gotta go. As people know, I do this in my home office. So at times
Don't
I
even
forget.
check your email.
I know, I'm not checking it, I'm shutting it off.
Oh, okay.
Look at her, I just forgot to shut it off.
Yes. May I just say one thing? You weren't schleppy. And you were a ball of energy and fire and humor. So you were. Schleppy is the last thing. You've never been schleppy in your life.
Well, that was the inside of me.
Yeah,
My
okay.
insides.
You felt that
I
way.
remember Sarah Jessica Parker was living with Robert Downey Jr. at the time.
And they were both members of Young Artists
Exactly.
United.
And they had this really cute pink house up behind the Comedy Store. And I remember going because I wanted to be part of the board. But I was so interested in being funny when I did the meeting that I didn't even think about the idea
of what you were going to do.
Yes, and Sarah thought I was hysterically funny. And I remember meeting Robert Downey when I was on the Warner Brothers lot after seeing him at one of the meetings. And I remember meeting him again on the lot when I was auditioning for something on a Saturday, and he was just standing around. It was, and he couldn't have been sweeter and nicer.
Yeah, nice people, both of them.
Very, very nice. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll fill you guys in. Alexandra Paul, best known probably for being on one of the biggest TV shows ever in the entire world in the 90s called Baywatch for 5 years, playing Lieutenant Stephanie Holden, and being the female lead in films like Dragnet with Tom Hanks, 8 Million Ways to Die with Jeff Bridges, Christine, with our friend Doug Warhead. But who was the big male star of that? Oh,
well, Keith Gordon played the lead. John Carpenter directed. And actually, I do autograph signings for that movie and
American Flyer with Kevin Costner opposite him. I mean, you really, growing up, and we talk about this, but growing up in the 80s, you were sort of plucked out of being a model, starring with Daryl Hannah in a film called Paper Dolls with Joan Collins, which was on Dynasty, and you started at the top. I mean, you just started at the top of everything. And I always would ask you, what did that feel like? And for you, what did that really feel like in retrospect now, as a?
Well, it was nice, but you don't realize you're where you are in the strata when you're there.
Oh,
it's only upon.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, well, yeah. I tell you, the day I did is when we went to the premiere of When Harry Met Sally. It was a Young Artists United premiere, I think, or something to do with us. I can't remember. And you said, "Oh God, I don't want to go down this red carpet. No one's going to recognize me. I haven't done a movie this year or something. I don't know, some crazy."
I think, well, I probably had just been in Hollywood, a few years. Yeah.
And I remember I'd never been on a red carpet, and you took me with you. And I remember people went nuts. And it was just this incredibly, I thought, oh my God, I guess this is who she is. And I didn't know. I didn't really know. So you really weren't able to feel it, which is...
No, you don't feel it. I mean, I was on Baywatch, the most popular show in the world. And to me, it was a wonderful job. And of course, the attention is nothing like you'd get today with the internet. If
It
you
would
were
be
on
much
the most
more.
popular,
You guys
be
were filming
impressive.
right on the beach, right near your house, your old
Yeah.
house where you used to live in Malibu.
Right along PCH.
I mean, you were 5 minutes away from where you went to work, and it was like, I don't even know if you could even do that now.
Yeah, I mean, well, we had. There were only 3 publications then, and it was I was on Baywatch from 91 to 96, so there were only 3 publications really: People, The Inquirer, and Us Magazine, and then of course I guess U.S. News and World Report. But
and Time and Newsweek, and you guys got covers of those.
TV Guide.
TV Guide,
but that's it.
Oh, that was
so. There wasn't the media stuff that goes on now, where there wasn't 24-hour news really. I mean, CNN had just started up, so it was a totally different atmosphere when it came to publicity. So we were not inundated. Pamela was followed sometimes from her house to the set by reporters.
Pamela who?
Pamela Anderson, by reporters. She was then the most famous woman in the world. And
isn't that hard to?
But otherwise,
it's hard to
believe.
We didn't
have a lot of problems. We had no problems. We did end up having a security guard, maybe my 3rd year on there, but that was mostly for Pamela, and the producers were just wise enough to make it sort of for everybody because they didn't want to create too much of a hierarchy.
What was the best thing about being on the show?
Everything. I loved doing that show. It was so fun being on the beach. Being the cast, working with Hasselhoff and the other cast members.
David Chokachi, who you've introduced me to several times, great guy.
Yes, David Chokachi, Jason Simmons, the woman who played my sister, Yasmin Bleeth. I'm friends with these people still. Jeremy Jackson, who played David's son. I mean, I'm still in touch with all these people. But, the storyline, getting to save people and swimming, I love swimming. So going into, all of us, we all
the
did our
action
own
part
stunts.
was fun for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was really creative in that sense. That's where the creativity really came. I think was in the action more than the actual dialogue.
Well, something I have to say, I did not want to do a series when I first decided to say yes. I had a lot of reticence because actors in the 80s and early 90s didn't move easily between movies and television series. It just, once you were in a television series, there was a fear you were going to get lost forever in the graveyard of TV. Obviously very different from today when big movie stars are fighting for television roles.
Julia Roberts and George Clooney are doing online series.
Right.
Both of them.
And online too. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Netflix or?
I think, I know that Julia Roberts is, I think it's either on Netflix or Amazon Direct. And of which you have a series on Amazon Direct too.
I do, and it happens to be with you, produced by you, directed by you, starring you. Thank you.
And you actually won an award for Best Supporting Actress at the Indie Series Awards, of which you disposed of. And I still, to this day, I'm so upset with you. I still can't let that go.
I have another award that's a doorstop.
Please don't. Please don't. Any award that you don't want, give it to me. I will collect your awards. I do not want you giving away your award. And that award was for my series.
So anyway, going back to Baywatch and how much I love doing that series. And it's so ironic because I was so reticent to do it. But my manager said, Alexandra, Baywatch is very popular in Germany. They didn't realize then that it was going to be the most popular show in the world. It wasn't yet that when I first got on. But so there are a lot of independent producers in Germany that fund American movies. You should go on this show. And so
because David Hasselhoff was so big in Germany.
He was so big. It was very, very popular in Germany, of course. And
you still are.
So I said yes, and I have to say I just loved the family. I loved the family dynamic on a television series. Which was
and what was the worst thing about doing the show? Be honest if you can. I know you want to be.
No, I really.
People. She's the nicest person ever. Like there was. Come on, there's got to be something. No, nothing.
Everyone was wonderful. We got to shoot. We shot 12-hour days, which is short for a television series. We basically got there as the sun came up, and we left when the sun came down. And it got a little cold sometimes. But
come on, the thing I actually wanted, I guess, just because I think that I remember at the time people were making fun of the show, even though it was so popular.
Yes, that's right.
And you at the time were in a different place. You were very proud of the show and didn't like it. for a little. Am I right?
Yes, no, you're not telling stories out of school.
Okay.
This is so true.
And now I think you have a different.
Now everybody has a different view of that show. They all think it's sort of kitschy and cool.
Exactly.
But back then, even people whom I knew and loved would say to me, "Oh, you're doing Baywatch, huh?" And they'd laugh, and then they'd quickly follow it with, "I don't watch that show." Like, God forbid. And it hurt my feelings because you could tell there was a sarcasm. And now this only happened in the United States. Overseas, there was unabashed enthusiasm about the show from men and women, and young and old.
It was everything that California represents: young, beautiful, thin people who are just saving lives, saving lives.
Colorful, fat, boats and trucks and Hasselhoff.
And then from that you went on to become, where I have given you this title, the Queen of Lifetime movies. You've done close to 20 of them, haven't you?
Yes. And, you can give me that. I think I might have earned that title from Lifetime themselves. I think they might. Now, maybe not, because it's been 3 years. No, I'm sorry. I did a Lifetime movie last year.
Yes, you did. Which was...
it was Baby Napped. Baby Napped. I know, some of the titles are just amazing.
I was thinking, somebody said, what is she? Well, she played the girl who was being chased, and then she played the mother of the girl that was being chased, and then she played the police person of the girl that's being chased, and then she played the lawyer of the person who's being chased.
Soon, maybe I'll do the chasing one day.
That would be great if you could play somebody awful.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I have done a lot of Lifetime movies, which is great because and I love doing them, by the way. It's so interesting because I'm such an earnest person on one level in terms of my activism and some of my values.
There is a whole dichotomy because you're on shows where the first thing that people think about is the appearance. And that's not your first thing in life. Or it's just sort of
fluffy fare,
Yes.
It's guilty pleasure.
Yes, but everybody has to look a certain way. And that's not who you are. That's not your life.
That's why I look the way I look today and won't be on camera.
Right. Yes.
I refused, audience, to be taped today because I am actually a little vain. And my
just
hair
a little.
is...
Your hair looks great.
No, I just don't have any makeup. And anyway, so my hair is...
But you have... Your eyelashes look beautiful.
Oh, I don't have mascara on. That's from Latisse.
I know.
Yeah, so...
Didn't Daphne do Latisse commercials? Oh, no, it was not Daphne. It was Brooke Shields.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, I mixed them up.
I don't remember, but...
Daphne Zuniga, who's a very dear friend of yours, and who I know. And you got to be on Melrose Place with her.
She wasn't on it. She had been off, but she was on Melrose Place when I was on Baywatch, and for the same amount of time, too. I think we both...
Similar kind of shows.
Similar. She got paid a ton more because she was on a network show and I was on a syndicated show.
But do you think it really helped you, though, being on the shows and being paid so much to do all the other movies?
Well, what was great about going on Baywatch is my contract was really liberal because I'd been an actor for 10 years before I did the show.
Where most of the people that are on the show had never done anything.
Exactly. So I was able to ask for certain things. One, I created my character, who was more grounded and tough. And because I wanted to work on that myself, because in my late 20s, I was still so stuck in the sweet girl next door, both personally and in my acting roles. So I really wanted to play somebody who was more empowered and strong. And I got to leave every season if I wanted to do another movie, which I did 2 years. And then the season was only 5 months. So I had 7 months to work on other things also.
Which you did constantly.
Yes, which I was very fortunate.
And which you were nice enough to get me little roles in a couple films.
Oh, stop. You got them yourself.
Yeah, but
you got them yourself,
I think, this is a business of being supportive of one another. I think that's the way it is. I think it's very difficult to be doing everything by yourself and on your own because this is a business of friendships. Yeah. I do think that. So now... you're very open about your age. I almost,
You did. I was impressed. You did say that you were in your late 20s at one time. I thought you'd only admit to being early 20s ever.
I'm sort of squeaking in. I can't say. They can go to IMDb and see. I don't have to say the number. I don't have to say it out loud. But
I'm 54 and I'll be 55 in like 3 months. That means that puts me squarely mid 50s, which is weird. I think everybody experiences that. My mom even says when she was 75. She's now 82, but she said she used to look at herself in the mirror and she'd be so surprised at what she saw because she still thought of herself as in her 50s.
My mom is the same way.
everybody goes through this. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all in the same boat if we're lucky, if we survive. So
I think that we've talked a lot about age, you and I, because
Jason, we've talked about everything pretty much.
but age is really something that's I'm becoming to grips with. I think I'm finally getting comfortable being in my 50s. Finally, even just saying that, and that it's okay, and that
you know, it's funny. I take solace when there's people who are more famous or something who are older than I, like in their 60s. Do you get solace from that?
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, if they can do it, then I can something, you know?
I think the shift is, I found that the shift in comedy, in stand-up comedy is ageist in some ways, because I think that they're always looking, always having a lunch date today. And he said, well, comedy, there's no age thing. I said, yes, there is. I said, no one's going to get a serious contract if you're over 35. I think the only person I can think of that did was Leslie Jones, who came from being a writer on Saturday Night Live to being on the show and doing a couple sketches and became successful because she's so damn funny. And she's 50, and that rarely happens. Oh, yeah. And she actually says it.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, so which is empowering.
Well, even writers who aren't even seen. You know, writers of television projects have a hard time getting hired because people think that they
or if they're women or men. Do you think that still exists?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, women or men, people of color, age, yeah. If you're a white young man, I think you still are on top, like you are in most areas of life.
I think it is changing, though, in the last 2 years in a big ways for blacks and Latinos. I really do believe that it's really changing. I'm seeing a lot more films with black and Latino actors, which is wonderful.
Yes.
I think the Asian people are that's the next move, and hopefully LGBT people will.
Yeah.
You know, I people always say to me, well, that's change, and it isn't, because, you know, in a way, I'm competing with someone like you who had 2 or 3 series starring in major films. I didn't have that. So even though I've done 100 things, I'm still competing with someone who has your experience and notoriety, whereas I got it later. So it's a different thing. So I always feel like I'm catching up in a sense. But then also to become comfortable and say it's okay that I didn't have those experiences. And this is where I'm at, and I'm lucky to be where I'm at. And I feel always grateful.
Yeah, I
do.
feel grateful too.
It's do you find for a woman it's hard getting older in being an actress?
I think it's hard getting older for a woman because of the fact that we're more aware of how we look, and so aging, you know, you start to see it physically. And when you're an actress, you actually see yourself age on screen. Oh, interesting thing. I know you know this, Jason, because you know every one of my stories, but we'll repeat it.
Please.
And act interested.
Yeah, I've never heard this before. Tell me.
I was doing a TV movie, and I was playing a mom, and the director came up to me, and this was when I was in my late 40s. He came up to me and he said, "Alexandra, you look hard, and you look kind of angry." And I thought, oh my God, I'm not angry. And I didn't know I looked hard. I always have played like sweet people, nice people. But because of how I've aged, my face has gotten a lot more angular. And my eyes, I can get these really crazy eyes because my eyes have gotten bigger because I have less fat on my face, I guess. And maybe everything's fallen. God knows what. People, you have to just go look at me and decide for yourself. But so that gives me hard angles. And I literally had to look in the mirror and figure out how to hold my face on camera so that I didn't look either crazy with my eyes open too much, or tough and hard or angry. Well,
they always say it's your ass or your face. That's what
right.
They say.
Well, I've lost my ass.
Yeah.
But it hasn't gotten bigger. It hasn't gotten bigger. Nothing in me gets bigger.
Because if you're willing to have a fatter ass, you'd have a fuller face.
Yes.
If you want a skinnier ass, then you have
me. I'm not willing to.
No, you're not willing.
Fat,
no,
so, yeah.
Not fat. Just
not willing
to have more pounds on.
Yeah.
Because you're thinner than you were when you were younger.
I'm thinner than I was in my early 20s until I had a devastating breakup, and I lost 10 pounds, and I never really gained that back. Maybe 50. Yeah, I lost quite a bit of weight just before I did 8 Million Ways to Die, which was...
Jeff Bridges, Andy Garcia.
I went from doing American Flyers, where you'll see it. I remember a man stopped me in the street and said, "What happened to you?" when you did American Flyers, you look so good. He literally said that, meaning you've lost weight and I don't like you like that. And, so with the gall of some people. But anyway.
Oh, people say that, yeah, because they forget.
People will say, people don't realize, though, that what they're saying. Like when they say to me, oh, you look so much better in real life than you do on screen, that's really not a compliment. I know you're trying to be nice, but really, or, so anyway, what was I saying? So in American Flyers, I was bigger. I was sort of bigger.
Well, you can see because you have a twin sister who is bigger. She's
more strong than I was at least 10 pounds bigger then than I was now. I don't know.
Yeah. You guys are.
We've both gotten
different
leaner as we've gotten older. My sister was a firefighter, so she had to be bigger.
She's got a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
And
I actually, you can also tell. Speaking of body size, so from American Flyers to 8 Million Ways to Die, I had a breakup, which devastated me, and so I looked different. And then when I was on Baywatch, I actually, interestingly, I cut my hair.
That was like
the second season. The third season.
And it was a big deal because people were like, "Oh, that's the one that didn't have the boob operation. That's the one who cut her hair."
Exactly. I became super smart. They thought I was really smart because now. No breasts and short hair and brown hair.
Yes, right. It was really weird that made such a big. Were they upset with you? Did you ask them?
No, I asked them, yeah. But because I had worn a wig in a montage the season before, and they liked the way I looked in that wig, they said yes. And what I really learned something from that. When I had long hair the first season, I felt like I had to compete with the other actresses who were just curvaceous and blonde and gorgeous, and had a certain sensuality and sexuality I didn't have, like that. And I felt like I had to be like them. But when I cut my hair and I started lifting weights, and you can see I get tighter and leaner and more athletic. I get more like me. I became more me when I cut my hair. And it really taught me that now when you say, oh, Alexandra Paul, they go, oh, the one with the short hair. They remember me. You mentioned some of the blondes on Baywatch. People, they go, which one? Unless it's Pamela, a lot of times they have trouble remembering. So it was a lesson to me.
They remember Pamela and Jasmine, and then that's it. And you're the three.
You know better than I what they remember. Yes,
I think that's what
that was the peak of Baywatch for sure when we were all on it. Gina Lee Nolan was also on at the time too.
I don't think she gets the. I think they sort of think of her as sort of the replacement for
Pamela. They did hire her probably for that. And yeah, I got my own doll. It was Hasselhoff, Pamela, and then if the marketing department wanted to, they give me a doll. They did make a doll for me, so the three of us got dolls, and I had some good merchandise. But then other things that was totally, on the merchandise, they totally ripped us off from the merchandise.
Oh wow!
Oh, they did not pay us for our merchandise for sure.
How did you feel about the movie being out?
I really liked it.
Oh, yeah, I've not seen it.
I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it didn't have to be an R rating. It shouldn't have been R, and I didn't really like the crudeness of it. All those penis jokes and things, those were silly. You didn't need that. It would have been much better as PG, and it would have done better if it was a PG movie
for kids.
Just wider range. Why do you want an R movie? It doesn't bring in.
Did Hasselhoff just love that The Rock was him? I mean,
I never talked to David about it. David's in it, and Pamela has 3 seconds in it. They really underused her. It would have been nice, and she didn't have a line. She looked gorgeous, but I wish that they could have used her more. And they didn't ask any of us to be on, any of the rest of us.
Which I think is so weird.
We didn't even get to go to the premiere. They didn't even invite us to the premiere.
Wow.
I know. It felt it hurt a little bit. Feelings like we were totally... the writers even boasted that the fact that they'd never seen a Baywatch when they started writing the script. So they obviously didn't...
They wanted to reinvent it and not have a lot of connection. But I think the idea of this is that people get to go down memory lane and see the things that they loved and all the stuff they loved. And it's always fun in any of these movies to see somebody else playing another part. It's always fun to see it. Yeah.
I would have loved... but most of those remakes don't really use even have cameos for the original cast.
I don't
Starsky
know
and Hutch,
why.
I think, did they?
I didn't see that.
People
I've
like
not
us, we
seen-
would have loved to have. I didn't see Starsky and Hutch either, but Kate worked on it as a set decorator. So I went
friend
to
of
the
a mutual
set.
friend of
Yeah,
ours.
sorry. I forget that I've got other people listening, Jason. It's weird. If I was doing a remake, I would pay homage to the original cast, and it would also bring in a whole other audience, which is the older audience, which I guess maybe producers don't care much about these days.
Do you feel like that's? Do you feel pushed? I feel sometimes pushed off to the side in the comedy world because of that. If you're not, I was going to say Louis C.K., but since he's fallen, if you're not, a big stand-up comedian like Dave Chappelle or someone like that, you're not really thought about in the same way.
Yeah.
And whereas acting has gone up for me, stand-up has sort of leveled off.
Yeah. Well, it's so great that acting's gone up for you, Jason, and well-deserved, too. So you're a really good actor.
Well, so you're a wonderful actress. I mean, you really were so funny and spoofing your image and playing the worst best friend ever in Mentor, which people can see on Amazon Prime. And we got a 4.5 rating out of 5.
Oh, that's nice. Oh,
yeah,
it was so fun to work with you, and we're going to be working together again. I think we've done 5 movies together, or six projects together.
Have we?
Like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think if you count them all, and I think that's, yeah.
I just had little teeny cameos in some of the movies that Alexandra starred in, and because of her, Nathan the nurse and Family of 4.
Oh, yes. You played somebody with the guy from Spandau Ballet, Martin Kemp. Do you remember that movie with Martin Kemp I did?
Yes, and you wore that same dress.
Yeah, the whole dress.
What was it called?
It changed its name. Cyberspace, maybe.
Cyber something. Yeah.
It was called something. It was called the Sailor's Tattoo, and we
which was a better title.
Yeah.
And I played some salesman. I don't even.
You were hawking goods or something in the seedy part of town, as I recall.
Yes. And you look gorgeous in that dress. You wore that same.
Oh, I hated that dress so much. I had to wear it through the whole movie. And I was so much more pliant then, and so even though I didn't really like it, I said, "Oh yeah, it's fine." And then later,
you didn't realize you're gonna have to wear it the whole time.
Yeah, why did I just?
I remember once when we were talking, and you said, "God, they're changing the movies now. They're doing it with these red cameras or these other digital cameras, and they're showing every single, And I said, Alexandra, you're the star of this movie. Call and ask to speak to the DP about how you should be photographed." And everything. You said, "Oh my God, really?"
I don't remember that, but thank you.
And then you started talking to people and saying, "Hey, I want to be lit in a certain way. I want to look pretty."
Well, people freaked out when the red. I actually did a project where the red was the first, where they said it was the first project in the United States using a red camera, and actually it broke down several times, which caused a lot of problems. But,
did it?
Yeah, but I am. I never saw a difference, and I never saw. But as I got older, mostly because of my friend Daphne, who's we're the same age, and she was taking more control over how people were lighting. When you have a really young DP and a young crew, they don't care and they don't understand age. And so I started just getting more proactive about asking for a light, flattering light, and understanding that it makes a huge difference. Makeup, I don't care. I think makeup cannot, it's mostly lighting. Lighting is crucial.
Yeah, but you don't want when you get older, you don't want to put, it's not, people think to put more makeup on.
No, less.
You have to do less.
Less makeup. I always look best in scenes where my character just wakes up. I always think, wow, you look pretty, Alexandra. I always look so much, and that's when I don't have any makeup on, but I usually, I did a movie with, called Say Yes, with a director with whom we've both worked. You did Coffee Date with him, and I did True Loved, and I didn't wear any makeup in that movie.
Wow, why?
Because my character wasn't. I just felt like I didn't need it, and I didn't think I looked. I don't think haven't seen it, but I think it was the character. I was playing a mom who knit a lot. So, in sort of a house dress. So I didn't think makeup was appropriate.
And you also did another film. I did Coffee Day, but you did another film. He actually called me, you know. He said, would Alexandra want to do this? Did you know that?
Stuart Wade?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I said, of course she would.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yes, I didn't know.
Of course. I
yeah.
love working with Stuart. I definitely would do it again.
Yeah.
And I love the themes of his movie.
What was the theme of this film?
It was about, I mean, there's a woman who's sick with cancer, but also there's a sexuality, like gay or not gay, a straight guy falling in love with another straight guy. The two best friends, male friends, falling in love.
And you were one of their moms?
I was the mom of the girl with cancer. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I had to cry a lot, which is hard for me. You don't have to cry. Have you ever had to cry?
Yeah, twice. Sort of in like Father the short film, but it wasn't necessary. And I tear up a lot in that. And then another film that I did called Letting Go. And then in Mentor, I teared up a lot.
Yes, you did. You had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically in the movies I've done, I pretty much have to cry almost every single movie when I have the lead. And that's one of the good things about getting older is that I'm not getting as many leads, so I don't have to cry. It's not easy for me to cry and to maintain it take after take.
Well, I think that's what people forget. I did a film with Faye Dunaway, and she had to cry in this scene, and she cried in the close-up, but then in the big other shot, she had a little tube of water, and she put it in her eye to match the shot.
But did you do the close-up first?
She did hers first, yes.
I'm going to start it. Now, they might not listen to me about the lighting anymore if I don't have the lead, but I am going to start asking when I have to cry if I can do the close-up
I can't
first.
believe that you wouldn't.
Ask for the lighting?
No, first just say, hey, I need to go first in order to get there.
I always think that they're going to use the medium or something too.
The medium shot.
Yeah, the medium shot. But really, in fact, the last movie I did, I had to cry. And, oh, God, it was so powerful in the beginning. And then I just...
Right, because that's what happens to everybody.
Oh, some people know. I mean, I think Claire Danes... Oh, Jason, it's for you.
No, it isn't.
Someone important?
No. Oh, I can't. I don't. Well, so
he just put down the volume, folks.
It's not. It's my office phone. This is what happens.
We don't want it. Wait. Just hung up on them. It's probably
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Here I can tell you. This is a real phone, guys. So this has actually here.
Okay.
Plug it.
And
this is not a cell phone,
and they'll call back again. It's my office phone.
Jason forgot how to use it because it's been so long.
So what will happen? Someone will call and they'll just go straight to voicemail.
Yeah, it'll ring a ring. We just won't hear it.
Oh wow.
Okay, it's okay. They'll call back if they need you or they'll leave a message.
If it's really important, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting. There's a whole process and also being in an environment where you feel comfortable doing that, and that's with everybody. I mean, I know. Diane Keaton said on Jimmy Kimmel recently that when she was doing Reds, that scene where she comes and she goes into his arms and she cries, 64 takes.
Oh, because it was Warren Beatty. Now he's notorious for having a scene where you walk down the hall and you've got to do 100 takes.
Yeah, and she said, thank God, because that's the best take. She says, I wasn't good in the other takes I did. And I'm sure
64th, she was.
Yeah, she said that's
she was so pissed off at him.
And
she
just
was
exhausted.
Out of
I mean, that's what happens. It's like...
I suppose if you know there's going to be 64, you feel free. One of the issues when you are on a lower budget thing is that they're only going to do 2 takes unless it's not in focus. And so you better make it work each time, but still that's 2 takes in the master, and it ends up being more than 2 takes, but 3 in the master, 3 medium shots, then an over the shoulder, then a close-up. That's a lot of takes.
And you want to do the close-up first, yes. I got to start asking for that.
Thank you.
You've only been in the business 30 years.
It's that nice girl thing that's coming out. Not wanting to, feeling like I should be able to cry on my close-up after the 15th take.
So probably the biggest movie you did in the 80s, I would think, was Christine and Dragnet. Am I correct, money-wise? The ones that made the most money?
I don't... Well, I know Dragnet did have a #1 weekend, but that was in 87. Christine, I really don't know. It was considered...
a cult film of sorts.
Now it's become a cult film. And I think in terms of residuals, that film has earned me the most money because it plays the most of anything else I've done.
What was it like to work with Tom Hanks before Tom Hanks was Tom Hanks?
He was sort of Tom Hanks, and he was lovely. And he's still lovely, by the way, because I've run into him, and he's as lovely as he is. He's as charming and warm as he is on camera in real life.
What do you think is? I always think, what do you think he's done to keep this, to maintain this? He was winning an award recently when I was doing the award circuit for Birth of a Nation, and I went to an award thing where he was winning an award for being the everyman. And, you know, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I forgot what award it was. And I kept thinking to myself, what makes him the everyman? And I think he's a brilliant actor.
Well, he's comedy, but he moved out into other... But he's not an everyman to me. I mean, but to everybody, he's just a wonderful character actor. Yeah. But I think it's because he's white. To him. No, I think we made that up. Because he's white, he's heterosexual. He's vanilla?
He's Christian appearing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't think he's vanilla, though. I think he's quite dynamic in a different way.
Well, his appearances, you know, he's very, in terms of appearance, he's...
changeable.
Yeah, and he's not super handsome or super threatening or super this or that. He's very middle of, you know, he's nice looking, but he's not threatening looking and have anything that's really sticks out, like Vin Diesel's bald head or somebody's eyes, you know, something like that.
But why is Vin Diesel's bald head not the everyman? You know, since I'm a bald guy, to me, I think that's what it is. It's this idea of a certain kind of person.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I hadn't thought of it like that, but I agree.
When you're not that guy.
When you're not.
You think of that a lot.
Maybe because I'm a white, middle class, was raised Christian, Protestant, that I'm that, so I don't notice, I don't feel.
No, because to you it is the every.
Yeah.
But to me, it isn't being a Jewish guy, you know.
Right.
You know, when I saw Barbra Streisand in the movies when I was a kid, I thought she looked like everybody that I grew up with.
Yeah.
That seemed regular to me, and she was sexy and funny and had this great voice, and you know, could cry out of one eye. So to me, that seemed that way. So, and I think that's what's happening now in movies, you know, in TV, is that, you know, the idea, it was started in the 70s and then it stopped.
The idea
of somebody not being, you know, the Barbra Streisands, the Cicely Tyson was a star in the 70s, so was Diana Ross.
You think they're going back to...
Oh, I think they did in the 80s. They started, they took a turn. And all of a sudden they went back when Reagan became president.
Listen, Baywatch was incredibly white, and I've told you this story, but I used to complain about it, that all the actors were white, and after I left and they hired a couple actors of color, the producers actually said to me, Alexandra, aren't you happy? We've hired people of color. And then one time they wanted to give me a boyfriend. My character was single, so I had the pleasure of having a lot of different boyfriends throughout the course of the 5 years, including Hasselhoff. But so they wrote in, because of my complaints, they've said, Alexandra, we've given you a boyfriend who's Hispanic. And I said, great, that's awesome. Well, it turns out they'd written me a boyfriend who was Hispanic and in a gang. And I said, you can't do that. You can't make the only Latin person in this has ever been on this show in a gang. That's just wrong. And they really didn't know. It was being white men. They just did not know. And
did they change it?
They made him an ex-gang member and a very prominent, you know, a very upstanding lifeguard. But still, it was a step. Yeah. So, and then the Lifetime movies I've been in, oh my God, they're so white. And I'm amazed that there are so many women of color who watch Lifetime. They're better now, but in the 90s, I asked the producer who's hired me for a lot, and we used to shoot in Canada a lot, and I said, how come there's nobody of color in this movie? And he said, because there are no actors of color in Canada. I said, that's not true. You have a lot of people with non-speaking parts here who are of color. Why aren't you giving them decent parts? Somebody has to make the change. You know?
I do believe that they think, oh, how could this happen? You know, this doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean? Who's they? The producers?
The producers and the powers that be. This makes no sense. Like in my short film, like Father, I'm married to a black woman and I have a black son.
I know, and I love it.
We never speak of it. And people go, well, most of the time people didn't say anything. Yeah. Once in a while, someone will say, well, how did that happen? Did you adopt him, or is he yours? And I said, it doesn't really matter. It's not
they
part
fell
of.
in love. You fell in love with
And
your
maybe we
wife.
did adopt him, and maybe who knows, because he had a darker skin. And one black
Ah.
woman actually said to me, "Well, his skin is darker." I said, "Well, I didn't care. He was the best actor."
Plus, you can have. I mean, that doesn't.
I
Mean
know that doesn't
anything.
preclude anything.
It's
It
like,
doesn't.
but yeah, I'm so glad that you're very aware of that, and
It's real important to me to just make.
You put diversity in your films,
Yeah,
whereas
I
other
try
people will
to
think,
very
well,
much so.
wait, I can't do that. Let someone else do it. So,
Or they say, well, this doesn't make sense. This is a family.
or there weren't a lot of. Oh my God, I was in a scene. Luckily, I had a pretty decent part, so I could, there's a hierarchy. When you're the lead, you can speak up, but when you have a smaller part, it's tougher. And I was playing a smaller part, but with a production company for which I had played the lead often. So I don't know if I knew my place, but I was playing a detective, and I was in the
I know that
police room, and there's a perp in the background, and he is a young man of color, and the policemen are all white, except for the guy interviewing me was black. But still, I was so pissed off. Like, why is the only guy who's the bad guy in here, why is he of color? And
you said that?
I got a little angry, but I tried to take the first AD. I took the first AD aside, and they changed it. So I think they saw it, but they didn't realize.
But I think when you're an older person on a movie, you have the right to say that too, and you have the much experiences that you've had.
Yeah.
And you do this. I mean, now your life is turned. You're acting, and you're still doing films, and you also got to spoof yourself in Sharknado 4. Who did you work with in that?
Hasselhoff and Gina Lee Nolan, both from
the
Baywatch.
three of you guys got to sort of spoof yourself in that film, which was a lot of fun. And you have now your own coaching business, which is called Alexandra Paul Wellness Coaching, and people can find you there on Facebook.
Yeah, they can get a free 20-minute consult, and I'm a health and wellness coach. I'll help you reach your health and fitness goals. If you can't do it on your own, which is really hard these days, to be able to eat well and
it's sort of what you and your husband Ian have this in your whole life, because he's a triathlon coach.
Yeah. And
so it's sort of like a natural thing that you've been doing with people for years, way before you started doing it professionally.
Well, when the acting roles were just not as good, I began thinking, I want to work till I'm 70 at something, and I want to have more control. So I was thinking about what do I want, and I knew I wanted to make people feel better about themselves. And I know as a woman how tough it can be if you don't feel good about yourself. Although, funnily enough, half my clients are male, but I realize now that males are feel the same pain when they don't feel good about themselves or how they look or how they feel.
You've been coaching me for 400 years.
Though I'm not. That's why you look so great.
I'm not a great.
That's why you look.
I do. She says
that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show, journey,
which we're going to do on the
on the broadcast.
She has a new show. She has a new show podcast that she's doing called The Broadcast with Alexandra Paul and Maria Kalea. I want to say it right, Kalea. And who I just love, produced by Brian, our friend. What is Brian's last name?
Verity.
Verity, of course.
Yeah.
Brian Verity. And so that's sort of exciting. That's a new venture.
You're going to be one of our early guests because we know how good you are with the interviews and stuff. So we want you. So, and also your story is so interesting.
What do you want to do now in terms of your career, in terms of acting? What would you love? Who do you want to work with?
You.
Well, we're going to play husband and wife in this web series.
We're playing.
We're in the process of writing it and putting it together ourselves. It's our follow-up for Mentor.
In terms of who I want to work with, I really like working with young directors. I like working with young directors. I'll tell you who my very favorite director of all time was. My very first director, Ed Zwick.
He just did a film recently.
Did he?
That I auditioned for.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's about this fire in New Orleans.
He spoiled me for everybody else. It's like he was my first love and nobody else compares. It's kind of what he ruined me for every other director. And it might have been because he was new and enthusiastic and it was a big project and I was completely green. And so he shepherded me through this, but really directing me. Really talking to me and directing me. And I've had it with some of the younger directors. Well,
you worked with Hal Ashby, who had directed Coming Home and Shampoo.
And was an Academy Award winning editor. And
Bound of Glory.
I worked with him and we did speak a lot. I didn't understand a lot of what he was saying sometimes. There was a lot.
He was a big pot smoker. Am I correct?
And I think there was a lot of I think it was cocaine. There was some drugs. Yeah, so it was hard for me to understand.
You played a prostitute.
I played a prostitute.
It was like
great role. I loved it.
Yeah, a complete opposite of. You did that right after.
I did it right before where I played the Virgin Connie Swell. My next film, I played a virgin in Dragnet. Yeah, that was probably my all-time favorite. One of my all-time favorite roles, just because of the stretch in terms of myself.
Doesn't she kill herself or get murdered?
I get murdered, yeah. I get murdered. But it was great. They actually, that film is a whole other, it's such an interesting evolution of that film. Some people hate that film, and some people love that film. But it's a very different film.
It made Andy Garcia
for sure, and he deserved it. But it was a very different film from what was on paper. And it was written by Robert Towne and Oliver Stone.
Oh, wow.
And we started with only 60 pages, not 110 or whatever a script should be.
Or at least 90.
But 60, and up until my character's death. And then they didn't have a script. And
Jeff Bridges was the star.
They ended up cutting half my scenes because my character is supposed to die. In the book, my character dies on page 2 or 3 or something. And so it was way too much stuff with my character. So, they ended up cutting a lot of my scenes. I learned that was a big lesson in the fact that you've got to have a great script. You've got to have the foundation. And as an actress, you're out of control after you leave the set. There's so much that can happen with editing and
I just did a film recently called Gin, where my whole section was cut out of the film.
Oh,
and it went to South by Southwest.
Oh, and so wait, you weren't in it at all?
No, they cut the section.
Well, that's better than the film I was in, where remember I think I called you really upset.
Which film was this?
They cut my lines in my sleep. The director cut my lines. I became an extra.
Oh my God.
I prefer to have been cut out completely. It was so humiliating.
You were so mad, yes.
I felt really disrespected, I thought.
I remember you
should have called me. He invited me to the premiere too and didn't tell me.
That happened with me on another film. He invited me. He said, "Would you like to come?" No.
Well, you knew. I didn't know.
Yeah, why are you here? Why are you here? Oh, you're the one that was cut. You know.
I'm afraid I have really, he really made a blunder. He didn't realize it. He's actually a very nice man, that director, but what a blunder to cut an actor's scenes like that and become an extra, a non-speaking part. I literally had a non-speaking part, and he didn't tell me.
Did you still get your billing?
I don't remember. I love it. Jason, you're always my billing advisor. Like, make sure you get single card before the title or whatever. I love it.
And
I have no idea what my billing was, but I guess it's, in the end, doesn't really matter. It's just, it was a good experience. I really like the actor with whom I worked, but my ego, it was my ego. I was really hurt.
The beginning of knowing is when you're not the lead in something. Yeah. Everything changes.
Yeah, it doesn't. You have no control, even less control.
Welcome to my life.
Well, you've helped me through those times, so thank you.
So, is there someone that you've always wanted to work with, a director that you just loved?
I love Sean Penn.
Oh.
I love him as an actor.
Did you see him recently on Letterman?
No, should I?
Not Letterman. Steve Colbert. Yeah.
Oh, because of his book.
Yeah. He seems sort of crazy.
I'll have to watch it.
I mean, he's obviously going...
But I respect him.
Well, he's going through a change of getting older, not being offered the same parts. I think that's what's happening. He's getting close to 60, and I think that that's just what happens. And you go through this period, and he did this action film that was sort of a thoughtful action movie a couple of years ago, and it didn't do incredible. It did okay. And I think that you go through a period of change, and you either go to supporting roles like you have done, or you just, decide.
Well, he's a director too.
Yeah, and he had a film that he did that didn't get released. That just went straight to the internet. He did with Charlize Theron, and it was a Cannes, and it wasn't received well. And I bet the film is good.
Is that when they fell in love? Remember they dated.
I don't know what the whole before or after of all that is, but I cannot believe that Sean Penn would do an awful movie directing it. I can see maybe the film didn't work completely. Bless you, my dear.
Thank you.
But I can't believe that. And people say, "Oh, that movie was terrible." And I thought, no, I have been in terrible movies. That's not a terrible movie.
Well, I'm gonna watch those because I haven't seen them. I admit. I like to. I'm worried that if I met him, we wouldn't click because I don't think he would dig me. I'm very,
Oh, his politics and your politics are
our
very
politics are the same, so he might respect me for that. But yeah, I just would.
And you've won so many awards for the things you've done. You drove an electric car before anybody did. You started, caring about the environment before other people did. You're a vegan. You're up at 4. There's no way you feed the homeless every Thursday, which I used to do with you, which I don't do anymore. And you've done everything. You won a couple really big awards for that too, and I hope you've kept those and not recycled them. I really wish you had not done that.
You're so funny. What would I swear 2 of them are doorstops though. That's very handy. But other than that, but you're a gem. And
but it's important though. It's important to know that you've made some sort of wrinkle in life.
No, it is so important. I feel. Yes, no, you're exactly right. To feel like I think we all want to feel meaningful, and I definitely want to feel that. But and I appreciate the awards, and they make me feel good. There's no doubt. But I know that I receive them. I just don't necessarily want to hang them or put them anywhere. I'm not a tchotchke person, so.
Oh, you got that whole office there. You got all that. Nothing's on those shelves.
I know, my shelves.
You could have just put them there.
I loved it when you came over and you went, everything's empty. Well, your house is so neat. You've got the neatest house ever.
So do you.
Yeah, but, so we're the same sensibility.
Yes.
So I have to go.
Yes, you do.
But it's so nice to talk to you.
I love having you on the show. And
can we talk in 5 minutes?
Yes, we can. And I look forward to being on your show. If people want to find you, they just go to alexandrapaul.com.
Or alexandracoaching.com if they're interested in my wellness coaching, and they'll find the Facebook and Twitter and
and everything, and you would get a lot by having her coach you, and getting a lot in seeing her films. Go rent things, see things. Go watch Mentor on
Amazon.
On
you can see
Direct.
me be a real biatch, and
yes, the worst version of herself, and willing to make fun of her own persona. And thank Paul Laya for that, because I was the one that said no, this is too much, and he said yes. Who is our co-writer and co-star.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I love you more than life itself. Everyone, hey, take care. Talk to you next time.